Good evening. It's Friday night, 8 o'clock, and this is Loaded Mag. Tonight, we've got myself, Daz, and Martin. We've also got a guest tonight, Charlie Bennett. He's sitting in the green room, so we'll bring him in shortly. But, lads, how are you both today?
Oh, good, Rich.
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Not too bad. In the bar, have a beer. Obviously, Ireland's closing everything down again because of Omicron. Bars and everything closed from 8, but I made a wise decision to build one in the summer, so screw your 8 o'clock lockdown, pals. Yeah. I'm sorted. Yeah,
that's it. And as you mentioned it off air, you've decided to open the pub to the street as well. So
I am, yeah.
As well as lockdown, Martin's going to make some money.
I am, yeah. Unofficially, yeah. But if you are in the Garda enforcement or other legions, including the tax and revenue, that's actually untrue. Richie's just joking.
How did you get the license for that, Martin?
I applied for that over the internet. Yes, it was a very long and drawn-out process, and that was very costly. Daz, I think you'll find. Yeah, I will say. Listen, all joking aside, listen, changes. Obviously, for me and Daz, yet again in Ireland. Unfortunate. In particular, as anybody that watches the show knows, I follow rugby as well. I get to as many Leinster games as I can over a season. Massive game on Boxing Day, or St. Stephen's Day as it's called here. Leinster against Munster down in Limerick, Thomond Park. Massive 60,000 sellout. Has now been slashed to 50% and has to shut up by 8 p.m. Thousands of fans with tickets, made hotel bookings, travel, all up in the air. And from a point of hospitality, closing out at 8 o'clock, hundreds and possibly thousands of people losing their jobs the week before Christmas. It's not great timing, and it's a bit shambolic, to be honest, from the government here. I get the safety piece, but man, the timing sucks big time. So my heart goes out to those affected by the changes. Yeah, it's really disappointing. I think Daz, really, but never mind.
You'll have that, Martin. We have to struggle on. Anyway. I think it might be time. Cheers is right. It might be time to think about bringing on I'm going to call him the media darling, because I'm sure he was on to his agent. First, at the start of the week, you could see him, he was on Sky.
Yeah, look at him there.
He just I think he found that phone and he just put it in his pocket, and that's where I clipped him there.
This was the thing, Daz. This is what we just said off when this guest came on, which was he going to get the phone, or was this just the moment before the old Willie was out and the helicopter movement was back and forth? Do you know what I mean? It could be taken either way.
That's one of the questions you're going to ask.
Yeah, he was moving in there,
And he wasn't happy enough being on Sky this week. He had to go one better and be on BT. And we have to ask him a question about this as well. He tweets on BT, but I'm sure he got on to his agent today and he says, "There's only one place I want to be, and that's Unloaded." So here he is. Here's our Charlie.
How are we doing, lads? All right. I'm buzzing to be on. That was one of the best intros I've ever heard. So I appreciate that, lads. Can I just say, the last time I was on the show, you've actually doubled your subscribers. So mass respect to you. You've been smashing it, man. You've been smashing it.
I appreciate that, mate.
Cheers. Yeah, the BT thing. Leicester was a wicked away game. Not the actual game itself, but just the day out. I went to Wolves a few months ago, and that was the last game of the Mike Ashley era. And the away end was flat. It was everyone had just sort of accepted. It was just almost like apathetic. No one could be arsed, and it was a complete chalk and cheese at Leicester. From the first minute to the last. Even though when we were 4-0 down, the fans were still chanting away, singing Eddie Howe's Black and White Army. It was a wicked day. The only downside was I didn't get to see Pete or Chris, because I know they were down there. I was looking for him. Yeah. I was on the show with Owley last week, and I was winding Pete up saying, "Oh, Pete, are you going to take it in the home end?" So I was keeping my eyes peeled when I couldn't find him. I thought, I wonder if he's in that Leicester home end.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
As you mentioned, Pete and Chris, neither of them the lads could make it tonight, but they might pop up in some part of the show.
I think they must be avoiding Charlie. That was last week.
It must be this aftershave I've got on or something.
Scent of man. Yes. Yeah. So, and someone else that couldn't be with us tonight and sends his apologies is Paulie Belter. So yeah, Paulie was due to join us, but he's a few things to finish up. But he promises he'll be back on with us again when he releases a new album. And look out for the Belter variant. He'll
follow. Jesus, that's shocking, does.
Yeah, well, I was just saying to you lads off air. It's Black Eye Friday, which is always a big deal in Newcastle, and I'm wondering if Paulie Belter's out on the drink on the big market tonight.
Oh, he didn't tell me that if that's what he's up to, but no, I think he's busy anyway. But no, we'll see him again. But yeah, Charlie, I guess maybe Richie wants to go in with a question, but I'm sure Richie's question is something around the bit of writing that you're doing, the bit of freelance writing. So do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, mate. I mean, me tutor from university. Like, I'm in my third year of university right now, and I've been doing like bits. Like, my whole time throughout university, I've been writing for NUFC blog. Just a little plug there for NUFC blog, and yeah, I've been doing bits and bobs for the Chronicle. I interviewed Peter Beardsley. I interviewed Gavin Peacock for Steve's talking night, and then opportunity came about where they sort of took us on as like a freelance writer. I'm writing about Newcastle United, but I'm not covering Newcastle United. That makes sense. So I'm not like going to the games like a Lee Ryan would, but I'm writing for them. I'm getting paid for it. It's a foot in the door. So happy days. Sorry, the dogs just came in the
door. Work away.
Right. In. Will you get the tie, Chaz? Sorry, lads. Where were we?
What's the dog's name?
Lola. She's I say dog very loosely. She's more of a rat, to be honest. She's a mix between a Yorkshire Terrier and a Bichon Frise.
Well, let's start the misery, lads. And let's look back at the game last night. So yep, we lost 3-1. If you missed it, we did take an early lead and a surprising lead, and it's looking good for a little while, for the first 21 minutes or so. And then if everyone will call, we'll get into the details there. There's a bit of the head through Shelby's goal. Nice for him to get one at Anfield at his old hunting ground. And then there was a bit of a head injury. And what do you do when there's a head injury? Mike Dean, answer? Play on. Oh, sure, why not? Yeah, it went with Jota's goal and Salah's goal and Trent's goal as well. Assist there from the man himself, Mike Dean. But yeah, you know, as we start this topic, I think should we let Charlie give Charlie the first shot at it, or should we let you go, Richie? Because I know you were rants, Richie.
No, I'll go at the end.
Your take, Charlie, last night.
Well, I thought it was an improvement. I mean, it couldn't get much worse than Leicester 4-0. It was a hiding. Last night going into it, and a few Irish lads, I might not know, but we've got a sport called cricket in England, and I thought it was going to be a cricket score prior to kick-off. But to keep the 3-1, I mean, how bad things have been lately, I think Newcastle fans would have actually probably taken a 3-1 before kick-off, especially with, like, if you're looking at the goal difference. Leeds got smashed off Man City, and where we've conceded the most goals in the Premier League. Like, I don't know about you lads, but I was thinking 4, 5, possibly even 6s last night going into it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was talking to one of the lads in work the day prior, and he said to me, "Oh, you're gonna get a tanking." I said, "You know what? I'll go 3-2." Just from prior history. So the 3-1, I wasn't too far out, but I agree with you, mate. I think I know it sounds a bit mad, and like me and Daz and Richie and the boys were talking on the chat last night, I thought we actually played pretty good. It was chalk and cheese from the Leicester game. I thought Fraser had a really, really good game. I thought Joe Linton played well again, was in the ref's face, was arguing the point. Look, defensively, I thought we did pretty good. Liverpool's front three, front four, if you include Firmino, I mean, they're awesome. Salah, 22 goals this season, always scores against us. Probably, I would say, the best player in the world right now, in his current form. Their movement, is just unbelievable. And look, at the end of the day, they're a top team, European champions, top team. Like they ooze quality and class. So 3-1, yeah, okay, it was a defeat. 3 more goals against or 2 more goals in the goal difference. But there was plenty positives again, and I know, listen, Eddie Howe said the same thing. Was it really a 3-1? Look, first goal from Shelby, belter of a goal. We were holding our own. Some good play. The equaliser probably shouldn't have happened. Salah's goal, the only thing I would probably criticise was probably some of the marking. Salah was completely left open on that right-hand side a good few times, one-on-one. Goalkeepers pinging the ball, midfield's pinging the ball, Henderson, and we're getting caught out time and time again. Why Howe didn't seem to adjust to that, I was a little bit perplexed about. Trent Alexander, listen, absolutely peach of a hit, but the referee runs straight through the middle of it, obscures the keeper. Jota's goal, you can see there, he was completely the opposite side and then runs straight through the middle and across the shot. I don't understand why he did that either. The Fraser piece from Trent Alexander, okay, he gets the tip of the ball, but he goes from behind through the back of the player. The match West Ham and Arsenal the night before, a penalty's given for exactly the same fucking tackle, and a penalty's given. And I think Coyote, I think it was, or Coyote gets penalised for going through the back, and a penalty's given. So for me, the inconsistency is a problem. Listen, Mike Dean's an absolute shithouse. We know that, right? He's his 2 sons have got Liverpool season tickets. He lives on the Wirral. How can he officiate a Liverpool game? That's the first question for me. There's no impartiality. So he should have stopped play, whether player's clutching his head or his neck. The rule book states stop play, investigate. He didn't do it. He played on. Jota, first good save from De Bruyne. He puts in the rebound. So the decisions all night were shocking. And I got a few tweets and stuff from Liverpool fans saying, "Stop mourning, you're just a small club in the Championship." Do you know what, lads? If we're getting a fair deal, I don't mind. If we get beat 3-1 fairly and squarely, I'll take it on the chin. But when we get shit like we got last night, that's hard to take.
I think on the penalty, Martin, I think personally, I don't think the Arsenal game or last night was a penalty. But I think you can't give one and not the other. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Listen, Charlie, it's the consistency of the rules.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's take the head injury piece, okay? And one of the things, if you watch the match back on the TV last night, when they talk about it, and I forget who the assistant referee is that they have in the commentary that they go back to.
Peter Walton.
Peter Walton last night. He says Mike Dean probably didn't have time to adjust to be able to get the view. But if you watch the build up to the goal, when the ball comes in and the injury happens and Hayden goes down clutching the head, the ball then goes 40 yards back before it goes to the right, before it gets played back in and Jota hits it first time and we get the save. So how did he not have time to stop and adjust that? So for me, that's none of that makes sense. And then to not apply the rules that are clearly there in the book that say you must stop play for a head injury or a suspected head injury and to play on is just fucking mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling.
Exactly. Rich, do you want to go in? Jump in with your rant?
Well, do you know what? Regards to the playing sort of thing, so I'm not going to have a go at any of the lads last night. I thought, under the circumstances, I thought the lads played really well. Yeah, I think I know your biggest bugbear is how he always fades the injury and stuff like that. I think my biggest bugbear with ASM at the minute is the fact that he tries to do too much and he needs to start looking up and trusting his other teammates, because there was one prime example. I think it was towards the end of the first half when we broke, and Fraser was on the left hand side. He could have slipped them through, and Fraser could have a shot on target, and he just ignored him, decided to run towards the right, lost the ball, and then we're caught on the counter again ourselves. But I think our good friend Steve Hasty put something in the WhatsApp chat today regarding how ASM likes to go missing at Christmas. And that the last few Christmases, he's been injured and he's doesn't come back until the new year. So let's just put it out there. Perhaps we don't see it all after the Everton game, perhaps now. But, we'll see on that one anyway. But if it's anything to go by the last couple of years since he's been at Newcastle, he's like his Christmas back home in France. Bar that, I'm not going to have a go at the lads, to be fair. I think it's hard enough going to Anfield. We discussed this briefly on Tuesday night when we did live line. It's hard enough going to Anfield as it is. With Anfield's like St James's on its day. It's like they've got the 12th man behind them. You don't need a 13th man there as well who can ruin it for you. Eddie Howe said it perfectly at the end in his interview, where he turned around and said, we got the early goal, and the way that they knew they were going to have the backs against the wall, but the game plan was working. They were defending pretty solid for that first 20 odd minutes, and then something goes against you, which you can't even plan for as a team, because obviously if things go by the rules that we all know, if there's a head injury, you're meant to stop play. Full stop. Martin's already touched on that. So then when Eddie Howe mentions it at the end in the interview, that when he actually approached Mike Dean actually said he thought Isaac Hayden was holding his back. For fuck's sake, holding his back? His hands, his arms were over his fucking head. For Christ's sake. Yeah. And this is where the rant really wants to go to from this, because we touched on it, as we said. I think David Shepard brought it up on Live Line the other night about a potential conflict of interest with Mike Dean's appointment. Now, we discussed about how Anthony Taylor's been, Liverpool, whenever Liverpool play Man United, Anthony Taylor likes to tend to be picked as the referee quite a lot of the times, and the Liverpool's, bring it up every single time, because Anthony Taylor lives literally, as you can see by this diagram here, just outside Manchester, but apparently he doesn't support Manchester, he supports Macclesfield. But he's allowed to referee big games at Old Trafford, between Man United and Liverpool. Okay, now one of the best, referees in the league. This is not just me personally. This is actually going by salaries from a trusted source. The top 3 Premier League referees are apparently Martin Atkinson, Mike Dean, and Michael Oliver. Now, Michael Oliver unfortunately can't referee Newcastle's games because, like it was what they said about Anthony Taylor, Michael Oliver's been open. He's a Newcastle fan, and this is how close he lives to Newcastle. And he'll never be able to referee a Newcastle game. He'll never be able to referee a Sunderland game because there's a conflict of interest there with being an arch rival. Okay? So going back to that previous one with the salary there's one top referee always going to be out of our refereeing our games. The other one there is Martin Atkinson, who, me and Martin and Dad were talking briefly off air. Good referee. Someone like that should have been in charge of our game last night, in my opinion. Or someone like Andre Mariner. But to pick someone like Mike Dean, who, yes, he's apparently an elite referee, just because of his salary and his experience in UEFA competitions, whether it be Champions League, Europa League, or whether it's FIFA competitions, he's classed as an elite referee, which you can see there by the salary in front of you. However, the main issue here regards Mike Dean, and the reason why I put the maps up was literally to show distance from where you play. This is Mike Dean. Mike Dean lives 9 miles away from Anfield, from Liverpool. He literally has pretty much the River Mersey separating his hometown. I think it's Heswall. Obviously, Chris might be able to correct us on that. And it's a 9-mile trip from his home to Anfield last night. Now, yes, we know he's a Tranmere fan, but surely Tranmere is technically a Liverpool Merseyside team. Surely Everton and Liverpool are rivals of Tranmere to a degree, but apparently not according to the PGMOL, who appoint all the officials for the games. So you start to question that sort of thing straight away, and that was something David Shepard brought up the other day, that we hoped there wasn't going to be a conflict of interest. Now, this is exactly what happened last night. Mike, I like to be centre of attention. Dean was literally the centre of attention last night. Now, it came to a lot of people's attention today. Martin's already picked up on it. His two sons are Liverpool fans. So if we can find that out within 24 hours, how on earth can his organisation not turn around and realise that his family have got affiliation to the team he's refereeing? There's a conflict of interest there straight away. He should not have been anywhere
near. Ticket holders.
Yeah, they should.
His sons are season ticket holders at Anfield.
Yeah. You know what? I couldn't tell us what it was. They were Everton fans. Well, there's a conflict of interest there straight away. He should not be referenced because of his where he lives anyway. Full stop. Because yes, okay, Tranmere are a few divisions down from Liverpool and Everton, but they're technically a local rival. Do you know what I mean? He should not have been near that game. Full stop. And then when you actually, you go into it where he has, Daz, I think you had the picture up before about where the first goal for a start.
Yeah.
Everybody could see last night when Isaac Hayden went down, he was holding his head. Now, Dermot Gallagher today, Peter Walton last night, they all turned around and said, the passage of play happened really quickly. Did it shite? I'm sorry, but it didn't. No. That passage of play was about at least 10 seconds from when it was played out, from when he went down. It went out to the right, recycled, the ball was put in, then it was put back. Mike Dean actually even looks over and checks. You keep seeing he checks to his left several times the fact that he's down on the floor. But then to come out after the show, after the game, when Eddie Howe says, how on earth can you not give that penalty? He says he's holding his back. It's fucking bullshit. And this is where people start to get annoyed because, we've all had this corruption malarkey with the Premier League and the takeover and stuff. And then you look at the amount of VAR decisions that we've had against us this season and last season. I think we've been the team affected by VAR and decisions the most in the last 2 years. We have James Maddison taking lessons from Tom Daly a few days before the game last Sunday. Everybody can see that James Maddison is actually going to the floor before he actually makes contact with the cells. But guess what? We get a penalty because Tielemans stops the play, calls for it. That wasn't a penalty. All day long, that wasn't a penalty. And then last night, once again, we get the ball played through. And as Martin already touched on, the penalty the night before when Soufal fouled Lacazette, Soufal got the ball. And then he obviously went through and he caught him with the back leg. Okay? To get a penalty for that, when he won the ball, and he got a second boot and got sent off that. And then you go to last night. And to be fair, I know Charlie mentioned it briefly when he thought that the ball that Trent Alexander got a touch of the ball. I've looked at it several times. I don't actually see any deviation in the ball, full stop. I think that ball just goes straight across. But the issue is he came from behind Ryan Fraser and he went through Ryan Fraser. Full stop. He took the man down. Peter Walton saying last night that Ryan Fraser only falls because he ran into Trent Alexander-Arnold. Well, that's fucking bullshit again. You can see his leg comes across and hits him, and he goes down. Now, rephrase what he's just mentioned there. He went into Trent Alexander-Arnold, so it wasn't a penalty. So James Maddison went into Jamal Lascelles. So that means that mustn't be a penalty. Oh, hold on, no, it's Newcastle. Okay, we can give it against Newcastle. But the penalties for Newcastle, no, we can't give it to Newcastle. And on Twitter again today, West Ham fans actually having Newcastle's backs here as well, showing pictures of both instances and saying one's a penalty, one isn't a penalty. And both things were because it's the big six it was in the games. Arsenal got their penalty because they're the big six. Newcastle didn't get ours because we're not the big six and we're playing the big six. It affects the big six. It's all about the big six. It has been, always will be. And this is what's going to make it, so momentous when we eventually, in 5 or 10 years, progress to the level of what we have with Man City and stuff like that. Because we'll do it the proper way, and we'll have had all this animosity against us the whole entire time of when, over this last 4 years, nobody wanted this takeover to go through. And then, after all that shite, you go on to the last goal as well. And, it's a fantastic little dummy run, mine, from Mike Dean. Once again, I've watched that several times on highlights today. I don't understand when he realised that ball's coming away, why he doesn't backtrack the other way to clear away from the goal. You would head away to actually get a better view of it in case anything happens. Because if, say, for example, he's running across there and John Joe's right behind, can't see it, and it hits his arm, what's going to happen? John Joe's going to get penalised probably for a handball. Mike Dean won't have seen it, but VAR would pull him for it. He's the one that makes the decisions on the pitch. He should have been running backwards so he's got an open play. But no, he makes a fantastic dummy blindside and run. And to be fair, Dubravka, and it was picked up after the show, he got his hand to that last night. I'm not saying he would have saved it, but that's
he did well to get to the point of being near it.
He did. And the fact is, you take out that point, those few, 2 seconds where he ran across that vision there, that could have made a difference. And, Dubravka might have got a stronger hand. We don't know. It's all hearsay. But at the end of the day, going off his side, he is meant to be one of our elite referees. And that was probably one of the worst refereeing performance I have seen in a long time. A long time. And it really, really pissed me off because the lads played well last night. And you can't... The mistakes and... Well, to be fair, I don't even think they're mistakes. I just think it's, we know he likes to be centre of attention. It's all about him. We've seen the way he points his fingers and gets a canny little pause when he's given a free kick or something like that. It's always about him. And it was all about him last night. And he made some shocking decisions. And yes, okay, it might not be his club, but it's our club that's getting affected by these shocking decisions at the minute. And I won't have a go at the lads for that because they played well up into that. And that decision changed the game because I believe that John Joe Shelby wouldn't have been affected. That decision affected the lads' concentration and how they were in the game and the concentration levels. They were all focused. It knocked them. John Joe Shelby, he played a little back pass. And it's a mistake at the end of the day. That's it. You can't do anything about it. But would that have happened if the concentration was still there? You don't know. Once again, it's hearsay. I don't blame Liverpool for the first goal because at the end of the day, you are always told to play at the final whistle, play at the referee's whistle, and I don't get that. And I understand that, and I haven't, when Trent Alexander came out and said we didn't cheat, they didn't cheat. They played by the rules. However, the rules weren't applied by the referee, the man in charge, when there's a head injury. Eddie Howe turned around and said for 4 or 5 minutes when he was down, he was feeling it. He was dizzy. He wasn't all there straight away. But it's just absolutely shocking that everybody could see he was down. The commentators were mentioning he was down. The one person that could have made it, and I think this is where VAR should, sometimes decisions like this should actually change. VAR should have a little bit more leeway. It's not to correct an error, like a clear and obvious error as such, like that penalty last night. If they'd given the penalty, they wouldn't have turned it over. But at the same time, they also looked at it and goes, well, we can't see a clear and obvious error, but everyone else seems to think there is. So, I think that's where VAR should turn around and say, well, look, to be fair, he's down on the floor. That shot play should stop, and it should have went back to when the ball came out and given a drop ball or whoever. And that's why I think VAR should be able to be, and I think rules like that should actually be brought in for next season. Rant over.
Richie.
Well
Richie.
said, Richie.
I was not around. I'm too young to have been there when Kevin Keegan was going at it at Richard Keys. It's on Sky Sports. But I'm buzzing to say I was around to listen to that because that was unbelievable. I was tempted to nip that. I'll start over the road, get 4 cans of lager, some popcorn, and I knew for a fact you'd still be going.
I was kind of like halfway through, my glass is empty. I was like, well, I get up and get a beer. Will he finish it? I want to be off camera. I'm like, now I'm going to go and get one. Because I know he's finished.
No, just a special message though. If you've been affected by any of the maps shown here tonight, please contact Richie.
Nate, fair play because that was proper investigative work.
It was really good.
Like to actually do you're digging before the show and find out sort of where they live and Martin touched on there. Mike Dean's 2 sons having a season ticket to Liverpool. I didn't know that. I knew he was from the Wirral. I knew he was a Tranmere fan. I know there's a bit of. I think someone put on the comments, is that not a little bit like someone supporting Gateshead, and because they support Gateshead, like would they still be allowed to like cover a Newcastle game, like referee a Newcastle game? It does stink a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it shouldn't have been anywhere near it. Martin Atkinson or some Andre Mara should have been somewhat over that last night. It was just
Atkinson's a ref on Sunday, lads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As for Peter Walton, I know you mentioned him. I think it was early on in the rant. He's just whenever it goes, and we're bringing you over to Peter Walton now, you just know it's just a waste of time, isn't it? It's like, his opinion's as useful as a chocolate teapot. It's that bad.
The only ex-referee that I actually listen to was he's always honest, and he was always controversial when he was actually refereeing, is Mark Halsey. And he goes on Talk Sports afternoons, and he'll tell you what, he will turn around, and if he says that someone's shite, made an error, he'll tell them, he'll call them straight away. and I would love to. I haven't had a chance to listen to the videos. He might have been on, I don't know, but I can guarantee that he would have turned around and went through Mike Dean. He would have taught him another one on the radio if he had done it today.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that's the thing, though, lads, is you don't mind if you get beaten fairly and squarely. Like, if there hadn't been those decisions, the possible penalty, the head injury not called, different bits and pieces, and you get beat 3-1, and Trent Alexander's goal is the final goal of the game, you kind of go, do you know what, lads? Fucking all right. You take it on the chin, Now, again, Charlie, you made a good point. Listen, it was a massive improvement from the Leicester game. So you take the positives from that and you go, listen, you're playing a top team. But last night we were getting the positives. Fraser and the likes had a good game. Listen, had me rant last night on Twitter about ASM. I've taken flack all day for it, but I'll stand by my point. He's been fucking shite since Bruce left. But when you then are playing a top team, not getting decisions, and you've got a 12th man playing against you in the referee, I can't take that on the chin. Sorry, but that's that. I can't accept that.
One thing I will throw in there though, last night I put a tweet out just off the top of my head. I was trying to think back throughout the course of the season how many unforced errors we've made in games. Now I was just thinking back to was it the second goal last night, wasn't it, when Joe Linton's fizzed it into Shelby's feet and then Shelby's played a hospital ball back to the goalkeeper and that's let it down. And last night we tweeted just off the top of my head, it was either individual moments or errors that have been costly in games. Lascelles against Southampton, that last minute penalty he gave away. Freddie Woodman made 2 howlers against Man United. Murphy in the last minute when he went 1-on-1 against Watford and missed. Yeah. Wilson against Brighton, now I got a bit of stick for that because I thought he could have stayed on his feet, but if you don't think that was a one, fair enough. Darlow's howler against Brentford when he just threw it into his own net. Clark against Norwich when he got sent off. Ritchie against Arsenal when he kept Saka about 10 miles off onside. And then the mix-up the other day, the one, it was never a penalty, the James Maddison one, but the mix-up beforehand with was it Dubravka and Shelby? I don't know, I'd had too many beers by that point. and then last night with Shelby and it's
back pass out to Darlow.
Yeah, it's hard to obviously knock Shelby after scoring the goal, but it was just another individual error. If you add all their moments up, you've probably got 7 or 8 points there.
Oh, exactly, Charlie. We did touch on it before. I think it was when Chris Waff was with us, and then I was calling it the curse, and then of course we got the win at Burnley after that. So we thought the curse has lifted, but yeah, it's been back the last 2 games. But yeah, and they'll probably be hang around against Man City as well.
I think that, just sorry though, Daz, I think that the thing for me, as much as we scored, yes, listen, absolutely massive credit. Ball was pulled back. Shelby gets it. He pings the ball. Alisson Becker's fucking standing on his head, nowhere near it. So it's a great goal by Shelby. Not going to take that away. But the 20 minutes kind of prior to that, we couldn't put 2 passes together for shite. Every ball we played, we were pinging it out to the wing. Murphy couldn't keep a hold of it. Shelby couldn't keep a hold of it. Joe Linton couldn't get a pass. We couldn't put 2 passes to one or other player to save our lives. So all we were doing was just inviting wave after wave after wave from midfield of picking that up. And if you look at the back pass in particular from Shelby, the one thing when you notice that when they replayed it last night was Mane is right on the line and he's on his toes and he's gone. Literally, he's anticipating and he's going, this knobhead's going to play it back. Because he can see the gap between the 2 defenders. So he's anticipating. Whereas our 2 defenders are going, sure, he's not going to be stupid enough to do that. I'll just stand where I am. So at that point, you're already done because Mane, even with the pace he's got, if he's got 2 footsteps in front of you, you're never catching him. So there were some of the other things that I'd be worried about that we're just not anticipating. The defenders are just not close.
James Arthur.
James Arthur.
I hope that's now and not when he went on the X Factor, because he was scruffy when he first went on there before he got his teeth done.
He was carrying a couple of pounds as well.
Lads, well, I want to play a little video, and I am taking note of the questions as well, because we've got a new little tool.
We have got some questions there, yeah.
That I can put against them. But yeah, so I want to go to from someone that was at the game, and I know people are missing both Pete and Chris tonight, but we have a bit of Chris here. So yeah, well, let's get the serious opinion from someone that was at the game.
From Mike Dean.
Well, just got home from the match. Really disappointed. Really disappointed. I wasn't expecting anything, as I think I said in my pre-match video, but we really gave it a good go today. So I'm actually really proud of the lads. And you know what, I come home, haven't seen us score at Anfield again, which is it happened to me a couple of seasons ago as well when Joshua Williams scored. And you know what, we give it a really good go. Honestly, I was really pleased with the performance of a lot of the players. In terms of a little summary, I'm really getting pissed off now with St. Maximin. Really pissed off. Don't get me wrong, his performance was better than it was against Leicester, and there was some moments where he was doing well. But I'm fed up of this feigning injury. I'm just fed up of it. And then as soon as he comes off, straight down the tunnel, fucking 10 minutes to go. Not impressed at all. John Joe Shelvey, again, fantastic. Joe Linton, wow. Joe Linton is he's just a new player, isn't he? And Joe Linton was absolutely fantastic again today. I've not seen the penalty decision back. Although I must admit, live at the game, I was thinking it looked a Stonewall penalty to me. I've obviously seen little bits on social media, and they've said that it was a penalty. So that was really disappointing. John Joe Shelvey, with the goal, capped off a really good performance. And I'm gutted as well to hear about Jamal Lewis. It sounds like he's out for a while now with injury, so disappointed for him. One thing that I was really unsure of today, and I spoke to Holly at the match about this, but I've not seen it before. And if any, this is a question for you boys, because I know you're going to play this back the next day, but what is going on with Dubravka and them goal kicks? All the players go over to the right-hand side of the pitch. Now, I'm not saying that that's not happened before, but it was really evident today. Like, they literally were nearly all on, right on the side of one side of the pitch. And it was baffling because the most dangerous and probably the most quickest player on the pitch in Salah was just staying on the left, and all Liverpool had to do was gain possession and ping it over to him, and it was putting pressure on Jamal Lewis, and then it was putting pressure on Matt Ritchie. I thought that was a really odd decision from Eddie Howe, so if anyone can answer that, please do let me know. But overall, I don't think anybody expected anything today, but a good performance, and I come away from the game feeling encouraged. And you know what, if we carry on playing like that for the rest of the season, then we're going to pick up points, because albeit I don't think Liverpool were particularly good today, I did see some really good performances out there, so I'm really pleased. Ryan Fraser as well, I haven't mentioned Ryan Fraser, he ran his socks off today, so big shout out to him. But do you know what, we move on. We got Man City at home next, assuming the game goes ahead. I know there's been loads of postponements this evening, so hopefully the game goes ahead. But yeah, I take a lot of encouragement from tonight, and it was nice to celebrate the goal and at least believe we were going to get something. Obviously, didn't turn out that way, but lads done well tonight. Cheers, boys.
Ding dong.
Cheers, Avon. Yeah, so that was Chris, who was at the game as well. Good to get his opinion. We'll bring it back to one of the questions that came up earlier, and it links into something that Chris had mentioned as well. It's do you think ASM will be sold? As personally, he's not great at passing, a bit greedy, and can't finish. I think no, ASM won't be sold. He may go missing now for the next few games, but with an injury, but he won't be sold. It's we need everyone we can get, and more to keep us in this league. Maybe in the summer, if we are still in the Premier League and Howe doesn't fancy him at that stage, but and maybe he'd want to move on himself at that stage. But that's my thoughts.
Thing is, he signed a 6.5-year contract a year ago. So if this was this was the talk obviously before the takeover. If somebody was to come in for him, Mike Ashley would have been charging like top whack for him. Now, obviously, money's no issue for us. Personally, I know he's obviously getting a lot of stick at the minute. You know, he hasn't had a good game since Brentford at home when it was Jason Tyndall in the dugout. I just think he's going through a rough patch. Yeah, he might have attitude problems there, but we've seen that in the past. You know, we've seen that with like Robert, we've seen it with Ben Arthur. Some players, I think, just need a little bit managed a little bit different. He's our flair player. If we can get the best out of St. Maximin from now until the end of the season, it can only be a positive. I just think we've got to stick with him and just see him through this bad patch.
Get rid.
Get rid.
No, I tell you what. Okay, all joking aside, absolutely, Charlie, 100% agree with what you're saying. However, when you look back at all those players, the massive difference was they had an end product, and he doesn't. You know, okay, one or two or three goals over a season for the amount of ball that he gets, and the amount of space that he gets, and the amount of opportunities that he should do the right thing with. He should either be assisting more or he should be finishing more with an end product. And for me, he hasn't done that. So what I said on Mag last week was, I'm happy to keep him. He needs to work harder. You know, if you and I'll give you a very, very good example from last night's game. If you look at Mo Salah scores goals, he assists, he does whatever. But when he hasn't got the ball and Liverpool are under pressure, he runs his fucking arse off for that team. He gets back, he gets stuck in, he gets into the middle of the pitch, he'll be up and down the wings, he does whatever he does. The problem with ASM is, for me, when there's no end product, no goal, he makes the wrong choices and we then lose the ball and come under pressure. He's no fucking interest in the fight. And he showed that last night with the constant sub. Do you know what? Get the fuck, man. If you don't want to play and you're not up for it, don't bother. I'd rather have a kid from the under-23s that's got pride in the shirt and a bit of balls. So for me, he's either got to be up for the fight, and the coaches need to work on his final third. Like if you look at towards the second half, I think it was before he went off, and Newcastle break through, Ryan Fraser's breaking through on the left. If ASM had played the ball through to Fraser, he's one-on-one with the goalkeeper with chance to go in at half-time at 2-2. So his decision-making for me is awful. And his final third, instead of doing all this step-overs, running into blind alleys, trying to be the hero when you're in the wrong position, fuck off with that shite. Play simple ball, play the player to the left or the right you're in, and take the opportunity. Take your opportunity when it's the right opportunity. So either improve the final third and improve your end game, or fucking move on. But if you want to give me all this sulky bollocks, I'm not interested. Flair players are great. And listen, Robert was sulky. The rest of them were sulky. Ginola at a time. But they all worked hard. They busted their asses. They had an end product. So for me, the biggest issue I've got is ASM's end product and the temperament. And he's not working for a team. And at the minute, we need fucking grafters. If we're going to get points, we need lads that are willing to put their heart and soul on the line out there. He didn't do that last night, and I thought the attitude was shocking. So unless that improves for me, I'm sorry, but summertime, fucking get rid. Take the money.
Taylor Payne, who does the podcast for The Athletic, he tweeted out today saying that what wound him up was after, might be another day, it was after Leicester had just been humped 4-0, you know what I mean? And St. Maximin put a video on of like, it was like his little montage from the game, like step overs, like whatever. I was in the crowd. I didn't see him do much, you know what I mean? But he put his own little personal bit on. Taylor Payne was saying like, "However, man, you're a good player, but we've just been battered 4-0, you know what I mean? Like have a little bit sort of self-awareness with the fan sort of thing."
Yeah, it's just game. Listen, I don't dislike the guy. Don't get me wrong. And listen, he on his game, and when he's 100% focused, he's an absolute match winner. But as I said last night on Twitter, and after the show on Friday on Mag, that's great when you're sitting, comfortably in the league and you've picked up 8 or 9 wins. But to be doing that bullshit and not play a decent pass when you're second bottom and you've only won once and just been, as you said, Charlie, been hammered the week before 4-0. Fuck off, man. Do me a favour. Do you know what I mean? And then to just not be asked and not graft for the team when we haven't got the ball. I'm sorry, man. It's not good enough at the minute. And it's a luxury that we cannot carry at this moment.
Go, Rich.
So I touched on that. I touched that on live the other night, and we were saying about his work ethic and how lazy he is. And the last thing he did against Leicester in the 90th minute, he ran back and he gave away a foul. He just took the legs of whoever it was, I think it was Maddison, and got a booking. And I said it felt as though he did it as a point to say, look, I do track back. But it was like once in a blue moon. And to be fair, the game was already lost. We were never going to come back from 4-0 down. It was just a waste of space and a waste of time. The one thing that really, really annoys me about ASM, though, it's, as I said, when you with people like Robert, Ben Arthur, Ginola, they were all mercurial talents. Even if you want to put like Aspria in that, because he was the flair player who used to do all the tricks and stuff like that. They all had an end product, so you know more often than not. So you had a bit more leeway with them. But with ASM, there isn't an end product, especially this season. And I think he's got to start trusting his teammates a lot more. Like Martin touched on, we both mentioned it tonight. That time when the break and Fraser was free on the right back to come across. Fraser was through, play him in, simple ball. It's a shot on target. We don't know where he'd score, but he's had a pretty good chance. What did he do? He lost the ball, kept hold, but lost the ball, and they broke. He does it far too much, and he ends up, because he's the person who's meant to be relieving the pressure on us in that counter attack, and we've got all these people bombing forward to support him. So they're out of position, and then if he loses it, it causes us more problems, and that's the issue. I remember when I was telling my kids, grassroots, I don't mind you beating a man, but you don't need to beat him again, and beat him again, and beat him again. Beat the man, use that space, and then create something or drive with the ball. He doesn't do it. He doesn't have his head up enough. This trust thing with the rest of the team, I don't know. He seems to think that he's the person who's got to, because he's this talent, everyone knows he's one of our best two players on the pitch, as though he's responsible. He's going to get us out of this mess single-handedly, but he isn't. And I think Eddie Howe will give him a chance, and I think he'll probably give him to the end of the season, see if he can change his ways and get him working more of a team player. But I think if it gets to that summer and we stay up, well, if we go down, he'll be good anyway. But if he doesn't change his behavioural aspect, because he's temperament at the moment when he loses the ball and has a hissy fit or whatever, or he feigns injury and stuff like Steve McManaman said last night. Oh look, he's struggling now. He's got bandages on. No, he's got fucking bandages on every fucking week. Yeah, it wasn't just last night. We say he's dressed up before he comes on. I think Eddie Howe won't put up with it from next season. I honestly don't. I think he'll get it replaced.
I think the other thing. Sorry, Charlie. I think the other thing to remember is if you look at the entertainers when we had Ginola, you look at the teams you had with Ben Arthur, players like that. We weren't playing with wing backs through some of those seasons. You look at the entertainers when you had Ginola there. Ginola could break forward and play on that wing. You were playing a pretty much a flat back four. So if he lost the ball, you still had people in midfield that could drop back and could expand to create a five, or certainly put, you had Batty sitting in front of that. The problem with what we've got is when ASM breaks on that wing and he gets caught and he loses the ball, as you said, Richie, and Chris said on his video, they ping the ball to Salah. One swift move, you're already 1-on-1 with the wing back. So the field is completely bypassed when we lose the ball 25 yards up the pitch, and we've got, as you said, Richie, we've got three players breaking their neck to get up beside him. He doesn't play the pass. So then all of a sudden, you've got this huge expanse of green grass between what was our midfield and our defence. And that's why you watch the games every single fucking time. We're getting caught out with the same shit time and time again.
Do you not think, though, lads, St. Maximin, we'll have seen how brilliant he can be. When he came back at the end of last season, when he came off the bench against Burnley and by himself changed the game, if he had a better players around him, say in the summer comes around, let's say touch wood that would stay up. Saint Maximin is one of them players that would, if he's got players on his level around him, he could go up next. He could be next level.
Another gear.
Yeah. Absolutely. If you've got, listen, let's say we have the January window that we all want, right? And we get somebody like Cody or Tarkowski. You get some, you get a decent midfielder in there. You get another striker to go up with Wilson, and you get all these things. I have no objection to giving ASM a fucking free roll, run around like a daft cunt all the day you want. I have no problem with that, right? But the problem at the minute is we can't do that because we don't have the defense. When you lose that break, you've got that front three. You've got Jota, Sane, and Salah running at Jamal Lascelles and Shaw, and on one wing Lewis, and on the other side Richie. Richie on one side and Manquillo the other. So that's the problem. At the minute, we don't, and that's why I was saying, Charlie, at the minute, he's a luxury. With 5 other players and a decent defence and a really strong midfield and a ball-tackling midfielder like a Batty, you can afford to have the luxury. At the minute, it's a luxury we cannot afford to be exposed with.
I think that may be why last night, from a tactical point of view, Howe might have played him up front as a forward, because you might have been thinking, we can't afford any passengers defensively against Liverpool, otherwise they'll just cut it open like a knife through butter. But if we've got St. Max, but then on the flip side of that, you might be thinking, well, who's the one player that can hurt Liverpool? So that might be why we're seeing him playing sort of
for
the middle.
Absolutely, he is the outlet. But again, when it comes back to that final third and that end product, if you get caught and you lose the ball, listen, we said this on, I don't know how many numerous shows, me, Daz, Richie, Chris, and Pete. You can do as many step overs as you want, but if you lose the ball, you're automatically under pressure. Mm-hmm. And the problem that teams that we've got is teams are putting 3 players on him as soon as he gets the ball. He loses it. They play 2 passes like Henderson did last night, and you're 1-on-1.
Speaking of under pressure, I have about 5, 6, or there could be more questions I'd like us to look at as well. But I want to just first say a shout out to Black and White Army. Check out the limited edition collection and blackandwhitearmy.com. Bronwyn's website and clothing range, where you'll find denim jackets, t-shirts in black and white, and hats and other bits and bobs. And Jess should be back on with us again as well to talk about the new name, the new range, and back in sometime in the new year. Also want to tell people to hit that subscribe button. That button is at the bottom right hand corner. It's if you're looking back at this again, and it's a red button. Hit that subscribe button. That will really help us. So some of the questions I wanted to get to, because and that's why I haven't been putting stuff up on the screen. Julie, for once, maybe we'll just do rapid fire. I'll assign it to one person and one answer.
Go.
Charlie, we'll give this one to you. From Judy. She asked a serious question for once. So she's asking about a circuit break. And would it be different if we're at the top of the table? Would we have different... what do you think? Would you go first?
I feel like Boris Johnson asking us that question.
You do a better job than Boris Johnson, Charlie.
I've got the sort of messy haircut going on, haven't I? I could probably fill in for a little bit. But no, Julie, Charles, for the question. In my opinion, maybe because of my age or whatever, I'm not for the restrictions anymore. But that's a different matter altogether. In terms of football, surprisingly, I think it's not really in the Premier League's remit. I think they're only sort of. They're going off what the government's doing. Now, they're trying to keep the Premier League alive as much as possible. But it's got to that point now, and fair play to them, but it's got to that point now where games are getting called off, and then the season's going to get to a point where, we might have played 3 more games than Burnley. And Eddie Howe touched on that last night after Liverpool, and he said if it gets to that stage, for the pure integrity of the competition, a 2-week break might be ideal so that everyone starts afresh. And, rather than having... They've got 2 games in hand on us, and then they've got it'll just be a bit messy come the new year if we don't stop it. I don't know, lads. What do you think? I'll throw that ones out with you.
I'd say stop it, take a break, and
reconvene the end of February.
Give us a chance as well to sign some players.
Null invite the season in
do as well. That works for me too. Yeah. That's
no promotion, no relegation. Let's just
one.
stop now and go again next season.
Yeah. Second that, Martin.
I want to go to Mike's question next, and all around Pep Guardiola, and and I know he took the trip to Barcelona, didn't get the tattoo, but no, I think Chris Hall put in the comments as well that he is fit. He doesn't have COVID.
He got a negative this afternoon, yeah.
So he can play. So we'll perhaps, but yeah, there should be more of a media out.
I'd be happy if he played. We'd probably be able to get past him.
We better put up Chris A's question, or Chris A will give out to me. Why did you not put up my questions? Martin, we'll put this into you. Do you think January window will be all about quality, or has it to be about quantity? 5 signings, is that unrealistic, or would you be happy with 3?
I think, and we did touch on this the other night, I think there are probably at least, I think we'll get at least 5 or 6 in. And I would not be surprised if there are 3 of those or 4 of those that are already very close or concluded. So I think we'll see a couple of defenders. I wouldn't be surprised to see a midfielder coming in. And I definitely think they will be looking at a backup striker, because my concern has always been, if something happens to Wilson, we're screwed pretty much. So I would. Go on.
Because we discussed last night when Wilson was on the bench, and I said you said, "Oh, you don't want to risk him," and I said I would have preferred him to play because he's on 4 yellows. I would rather than get a yellow, miss one of these 2 that were probably realistically not going to win anyway. So then he's available for Man United. South. No, now we look. You get a yellow card
against Man
United or Southampton, and then he misses teams which we can actually do things against.
Yeah. I think the other thing, just very, very quickly, Daz, just go back to the Pep and the Pep and Sergio thing. I just want to say it very, very quickly. As a Newcastle fan, I would like to wish Sergio Aguero all the very, very best in retirement. I think he has been one of the best strikers I have seen in the Premier League. Not a touch on Alan Shearer, by the way. Big Al, still my favourite, mate. Welcome to come on loaded anytime you want to. But Sergio Aguero, absolutely crazy to think that lad has a heart condition and can't play anymore. But one of the best strikers I've ever seen in the Premier League, an outstanding talent, and will be sorely missed in the game of football. So, Sergio, I know you're watching. I wish you all the very best, mate. Now you've got a few free nights. Come on, have a chat about City when we hammer them at the weekend. But, listen, a massive, massive man retiring from the game. And, listen, better to keep your health than put yourself in danger, especially with a young family. But Sergio Aguero, I'll always remember City's first ever winning the title. I was in Spain when he put the goal in, and obviously Martin Tyler's famous words, Aguero. But best of luck in retirement, kid. And from a Newcastle fan, you were a great player, mate.
Just a quick one, Daz, before we move on to that next one. I was going to say, because it fits in with that topic and what we were just talking about. Another thing that was announced today was that Christian Eriksen's left Inter Milan. They've come to a mutual agreement to have the contract null and voided. Literally, I was wondering why. I thought was it because his career is going to be over, etc. But apparently, it's not. To actually play in Italy, he's actually got to have something fitted because of the condition that he's got. Yeah. However, in any other league, he doesn't have to have this fitted. So the question, what I was actually going to say is, if he was fit enough past the medical and stuff like that, obviously you presume he's on a free transfer now. Would you take him at Newcastle?
Yes.
All day.
Yeah. And once he is, well, he'll know himself. Once it's medically okay for him to play, and he feels it's right for him as well. I suppose he wouldn't go back playing football if he didn't think that had that in the back of his head. But once it's right for everyone, yeah, I'd take him.
I think the good thing is that he actually has been training. It's not like they've just got him. He's been training back at Odense in Denmark, his hometown club. So obviously he's been building his fitness up. He apparently hasn't been having any issues and stuff like that. Obviously it's different when you get playing matches and the intensity and stuff like that. But I just wanted to see what you guys think. I think you know, possibly something like a play as you play or something until he can prove himself might be a good idea. You never know. It might be something that never gets looked at, but it's not something to not to look at either. The position we're in.
Cheers, Rich. Yeah, no, definitely would definitely consider him if it was all okay to do so. I wanted to mention two other things. Nick Hammond is being hired as a short-term director of football with Newcastle today. So yeah, this is to help Amanda Mirdad and Piff and Rubens with getting some deals over the line. I think it's a good. They need someone in there to help them because they have to be very, very busy for the last while and in the next coming 5-6 weeks. So I think it's good to get someone in, and then later on in between February and May and into summer, getting that an official director of football in. Then maybe it's going to be this guy as well. Who knows? But if he can do the business, get the deals over the line, they need someone. Any thoughts on that, lads?
No, none.
Good.
None.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him. I know he's last at Celtic, but
I think he's there to guide more so than make the decisions. I think it's
what was it? His official title's transfer consultant till the end of February or something like that.
I think he's just to kind of help them guide how to get it done and everything else.
Yeah, you've got to think. Sorry, Daz, you've got to think that the new owners here. Jamie Rubens had experience at QPR, but other than that, there's
no experience exactly.
Yeah, there's no experience. There's no experience from a football level. In terms of who has the final say on the players under the previous regime, like especially under Steve Bruce and Rafa Benitez, it was sort of Steve Nixon the scout, Lee Charnley, and like Bruce or Rafa, and then the manager would always have the final say. If you think back to the summer where we're saying Jeff Hendrick, Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser, Jamal Lewis, they were all Steve Bruce like signings. So I would imagine that January we might have a sort of similar thing going on there, where Eddie Howe has the final say on the players. Whether that's the case long term, when we get a director of football in, I doubt it. I think it'll be more of a mutual sort of working together kind of thing. But in January, I can definitely see Eddie Howe having the final say on every transfer coming in.
I think Jano's comment there, Daz, actually fits that quite well at the bottom there, where he just said, I see this appointment as someone who can help with the mechanics of the deals, not the player selection. I completely agree with that.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. I'm a mile behind the comments. Apologies. I was trying to get the questions, but I wanted to bring up another topic that I just spotted before we went on air, and it's that Matty's back. Matty's coming back. Newcastle.
Who?
Matty Longstaff.
That goes back to Chris A's question about who would you drop if we can't sell anybody.
Yeah.
First and foremost, get rid of the Longstaffs. Get rid of the dead wood. Right, just pay up the contracts, fuck them off, get rid, free up the spaces, bring in some quality.
Yeah, the thing is, man,
can I actually raise up a good little point? I was actually watching the Takeover show earlier on to try and make myself a bit more cheery before we ran tonight. we were talking in the conversation about what's going to happen in January, and we all love Pete and stuff, but he actually made a fantastic comment, and it was only funny because of what's actually happened since then. Where he said he hopes Joe Linton would take it on the chin and happily go on loan in January. You start to think you wouldn't be getting rid of Joe Linton at the mid full stop. He's one of our better players at the minute. But to be fair, in October you wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah. The thing is, there's that much deadwood, man. If you go through the squad, you've got, even look at the likes of Clark, look at Emil Kraft, look at Dwight Gale, look at Jeff Hendrick. This is just off the top of my head. Look at even like Manquillo, bang average, and he's the best right back. There is a lot of bad players in the Newcastle squad. We've got 4 goalkeepers in the 25-man squad. Mark Gillespie, what's he been up to since we signed him? So there's exactly, you know what I mean? He's getting paid to train with Newcastle. I wouldn't mind his gig.
See, we said this about the squad selection, Charlie. We never understood why they could do that, because you don't have to name 4 keepers. At the end of the day, Dubravka was injured. Darlow had COVID, so Woodman was standing in. And then, they didn't even have to name the squad straight away with Gillespie. They could have had that as Dan Langley, who's the under 23 keeper. You don't have to put him in the squad as a place because he's under 23s. He could have been a backup and sat on the bench and warmed it until Darlow and Dubravka were fit. There was no need to put an extra keeper in the squad, full stop. It was just complete naivety.
Lads, I've got another question I want to get in, and no, Chris A, I'm not going back to your other question because one question per person because there's a few we've missed, so we have to be fair.
Goddamn Americans.
There's a question about this guy, and it's someone we haven't mentioned. Chris has mentioned him before. Dusan Volvic. Pronouncing his name wrong, I'm sure.
Vlahovic.
That's it. Volvic, well like the water. Yes,
that's
exactly.
That's the Irish version of his name from Galway. Does well done.
So, what do you make of him?
I actually seen something in on one of the Italian press reports today. It popped up on something. It was actually something I follow on Facebook, and it said that apparently there is a 9-figure proposal that has been in with the club and with the player's agent for the last 3 weeks. And they're normally pretty reliable.
80 million, isn't it? Not 80 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 80 plus add-ons over 2 years equates to about 110 million, Richie, as far as I know.
That's like 2 Joe Lintons.
No pounds, I think. Yeah, no, massive money. And then normally the I forget the name of the crowd. I'll put it up on Twitter if I can later on. But they're normally pretty good with a lot of the Serie A stuff. So, but yeah, no.
He's got 15 goals in 17 games this season for Fiorentina. So it's not even one of the really teams that he's quality, absolute quality.
Well, he's I've just said he's worth 2 Joe Lintons, so that's saying something, lads.
That is.
Or is he at the minute, Charlie?
No, but I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know the way Joe Lintons playing.
I think we're over the hour, lads. I don't
want.
We normally try and keep it to the hour. As I said earlier, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps us. Not sure yet. I think Judy asked the question as well about what's our schedule. I think it was to us, what's our schedule over Christmas? We don't really have a clue. We make it up as we go along.
No, yeah, exactly. No, thanks for asking, Judy. I have a couple of days off, probably going to put a family time and, spend a bit of time in the bar now that the government locked us all down again. But no, thanks for asking, Julie. Yeah, no, it should be good.
We're ready for it if we're going to have a show, but we may do a reaction show Sunday, to the Man City. It's who's available. I won't be available myself. Some of the lads may be available. It depends. That's how we roll here in London.
I'm not even watching the match. I'm going to the cinema with my eldest lad. We're going to see Spider-Man. So
props for the best, mate.
Exactly. Yeah. Me, the eldest, and Spider-Man with a load of treats and popcorn and junk. Yeah, screw that.
I'm trying to think of the Spider-Man saying. No, it's gone. It's gone.
Home. Oh, no, that's
no, it's gone.
That's the name of the film. Something like that.
Anyway. Right. I think we'd say good night to everyone. I want to say thanks to Charlie for coming on the show.
Yeah, Charles from us on, lads. Honestly,
always a pleasure.
I genuinely enjoy coming on your show, man. You are smashing it. Hopefully, next time I come on, you can double that subscriber count again, man, because you deserve it, boys. Charles having us on.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
Cheers. And I'm just going to throw up the last 3 comments and to say thanks to everyone that has been with us tonight. And we shall catch you again pretty soon. And I'm just delaying as I find the outro button. Good night, everybody.
I was like, he's just patching this. He's looking for the outro.
Hard one. Good luck. Good night, everyone.
Right, good night. Thanks for watching.
Merry Christmas.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Be safe, folks. Be safe.